Today I want to share with you part 6 of my recent interview with Dr. William Davis, MD, New York Times best-selling author of the Wheat Belly series of books, as well as Supergut, the book where he introduced us how to make L-Reuteri supercultured dairy. Hi, sweet friends. If we're meeting for the first time, I'm Mary, author of the Modern Pioneer Cookbook and now the Modern Pioneer Pantry, and I'd like to welcome you to my kitchen. But we have a wonderful question here, and this is something with your medical expertise you may be comfortable answering. Someone wants to know if taking L-Reuteri, you mentioned the SIBO, if taking L-Reuteri would help Crohn's disease.
It will, but it's an incomplete solution. Crohn's disease means you have flagrant, rip-roaring SIBO terribly, and you've got major damage to your ileum. That's the most common location of Crohn's disease. So you got to take a much more comprehensive approach. Things like eliminate things that irritate the gastrointestinal tract. So you have to filter your water, avoid sources of glyphosate and other herbicides, so buy only organic. I would go wheat and grain free because there are multiple bowel toxins like wheat germ agglutinin and gliadin in wheat and related grains. Avoid processed, ultra-processed foods because they have emulsifying agents that disperse your mucus barrier. They have preservatives that are antimicrobial and add to the destruction of your microbiome. The whole list, by the way, is my Supergut book, but it's just cleaning up your diet. In a nutshell, eat real food. Just eat real food.
Yes, I so agree with you. Eat real food and read Supergut. This is really one of my favorite books. I'm so intrigued by gut health because the gut-brain connection, the gut-heart connection, just the whole body. If our gut is healthy, it makes all the difference in the world. And you've discussed this today, not just with the physical, but with the mental as well. You feel better psychologically. I really have found that over the years, and my mother was such a proponent of gut health. She was of Northern Italian heritage, and she would say, oh my gosh, the United States is so worried about, and you as a cardiologist can really appreciate this, doctor. She'd say, oh, everybody's worried about heart health. She goes, worry about your gut health. You know?
Good point.
But it's true. You know, we have to worry about our gut health because our gut will take care of our heart and our brain. We have another interesting question, and this I know that you have talked about in the past. People who are lactose intolerant, they want to make L-Reuteri, but they'd like to make it with a coconut cream or a half coconut milk, half coconut cream, whatever combination you think is appropriate. And what are your thoughts on that?
Perfectly fine. We've actually counted the microbes when made with coconut milk or cream, and you get at least the same number, 300 plus billion per half cup serving. But the only caveat is got to buy a coconut milk can, not the stuff in the carton, and make sure there's no additives.
Yes.
Guar gum is okay, but not gellan gum, xanthan gum, or anything else. Then you want to preheat 180 degrees Fahrenheit. There's a rare microbe in coconut that sometimes can be dangerous. Preheat the 180 degrees for a couple of minutes. Let it cool back down to 100. Then add your microbe, we add guar gum, about a teaspoon of guar gum, and then hit it with your stick blender for at least a minute till it's nice and thick. The reason for adding the guar gum and the stick, I should say, add the microbe after the stick blender because the stick blender kills the microbes.
Yes, they wouldn't be happy.
The reason for those additional steps is coconut milk likes to separate, and it'll be inedible. You want to inhibit separation. So the addition of the guar gum, stick blender, then add microbe, that works pretty well.
Oh, that's interesting to know. Now, as people start using MyReuteri to make their cultured dairy, do you recommend keeping this in the refrigerator or the freezer, or can it just be kept at room temperature?
Either way, just don't let it sit in a hot sun or something like that. There's a little bit improvement in survivability in the refrigerator, but it's small, so you don't really have to do that. Most microbes do not need to be refrigerated, and they'll last a good year to 2 years.
Now, you mentioned about freezing the whey, which was fascinating. so that you have this sort of almost like a safety net or a backup for making future batches of the L. reuteri. Do you also recommend that once you have some cultured dairy, if you want to freeze that as well, in addition to any whey? Does it survive well in the freezer, and can it be used to make a batch? If, for example, you're going on vacation and you just want to take a break, and because of my rule is I tend to like to use up my L. reuteri that I've made that's in my refrigerator within 10 days, because I feel it's the most powerful during that period. But say I'm leaving town and I have, a couple of ounces. Can I put that in the freezer and then at some point in the future start a new batch?
The microbes are very tolerant to cooling, to refrigeration or freezing. So when we get a microbe from the manufacturer, it's been freeze dried.
Yes, you mentioned that.
Viable. They don't tolerate heat though. So reuteri tends to die starting around 110, 116 degrees, somewhere around there. So we don't want to get overexposed to heat. And the crazy thing about microbes is their heat tolerance varies. So for instance, Bacillus coagulans is perfectly fine at 120 degrees, but there are microbes that die at 100 degrees. So that's why in SuperGut, I laid out the recipe for each different microbe.
Yes.
But it's very doable, but they're all very freezer friendly.
Oh, that's good to know. Because I really learned something from you today about saving the whey. I love that tip, because I'm very much a no waste kitchen. And so the fact that I can strain off some of the whey to lower the insulin effect, which I'm 67 years old, and I think so many of us, even if we're not pre-diabetic and even if we're not diabetic, we are conscious about not creating an insulin effect in our bodies. So I like the idea of draining off the whey and then keeping that to make future batches. Well, this has just been such a joy having you with us today, Dr. Davis. I hope that you will come back and visit, but can you please tell everyone where they can find more information about you? Do you have more wonderful books coming out soon, and anything else that you would like to share with us? We'd love to know.
So most of these recipes are in the SuperGut book. Now, some of the more recent recipes, for instance, the Bacillus subtilis sparkling juice. And also, we make a Saccharomyces boulardii sparkling juice, which is really easy and it's real important because it protects you from antibiotics. So that those are the more recent recipes are in my blog, WilliamDavisMD.com. There are several thousand blog posts there. If people who want better, more guidance can join my inner circle, drddavis@health.com. Like last night, I did this for over 2 hours with about 100 people. And they ask all the questions they want. We talk about their health, all that kind of stuff. I do have a book coming out in December with a title I hate because my publisher made me use this title. It's called Super Body, which irritates the heck out of me, but nonetheless, it's going to be called Super Body. but based on this idea that we can modify shape and body composition and do it safely, not shave years off your life like the drugs do, and become youthful again. So that's going to be called Super Body in December.
Oh, wonderful. If you'd like to hear the entire interview with Dr. Davis, be sure to click on this video over here, and we'll see you over there in my Texas Hill Country kitchen. Love and God bless.